A very warm welcome to Belfast.
So hello, welcome back to my channel, and I'm again back here in Belfast in Northern Ireland. Now, you may recall in a previous episode how I explained that Belfast has many Titanic links dotted around this city. Well, in this short video, I'm going to bring you the essential sites that you need to see on your next Titanic themed trip here. I may even throw in a few non-Titanic related sites if I've got time. So, whether like me you've been here before or you're visiting for the first time, consider this your essential Titanic guide to Belfast City.
Now, before we get into this Titanic tour, I feel there is something I need to quickly mention. Belfast, for some reason, is served by two airports, George Best Belfast City Airport and Belfast International. Now, I bring this up because please make sure you are aware of what airport you're actually flying into. Many years ago, back in 2007, a 19-year-old me flew into International Airport when I believed I was flying into the city. I jumped into a taxi thinking it would take me about 10 minutes to get to my hotel. Well, 25 minutes later, I was wondering where the hell the Irish guy was driving me to and whether I'd get there alive. So just bear that in mind.
Now, our first location today is probably the most significant. I am standing on Titanic's construction slipway. Yes, Titanic and her sister ships were built on this very spot over 100 years ago. Now, to get to the construction slipway, all you have to do is visit the Titanic Belfast visitor attraction, and it's located just behind it. Now, there are a cool few things I want to show you here on the slipway, including this white outline which is all over the slip. The outline of Titanic's boat deck. Here I am walking the circumference of her number 3 funnel. It gives you a great perspective of just how big the ship actually was. Come back down here at night or in the evening and her entire outline is lit up. It's pretty cool. Now, if you head down to the far end of the construction slipway, you can actually see the waters in which the Titanic was launched into. It's a nice place for a bit of quiet reflection, or paddleboarding, as I bizarrely witnessed one summer's evening. Not by me, of course. Christ, no, you'd never get me in those waters. I prefer to keep my feet firmly on dry land. Now, just 30 seconds from her construction slipway is this building just behind me here, and this is the old Holland administration building, and it really was the heart of the shipyard. The likes of Titanic's designer Thomas Andrews had his office based within that building. Now, the building was abandoned in 1989 by Holland and it lay derelict for several years. However, in 2017, it was renovated into a luxury hotel. The two rooms behind me here are the old drawing offices and are the rooms where the Olympic-class ships, including Titanic, were actually drawn up. Today, one of them has been converted into a restaurant, the other one into a function room.
The drawing offices where the ships were drawn up were renovated when the building was converted into a hotel, and I've got to admit, I am a little bit disappointed. I was fortunate enough to get a tour around the building when it was derelict, and whilst I'm glad it's been saved, I kind of preferred it the way it was, because it was like a little time capsule. Saying that though, the hotel does look pretty fancy, which I suppose is a nice way of saying expensive. I'm yet to stay there myself because there's a Premier Inn down the road, which is a lot less painful on the wallet. However, if you fancy seeing the drawing offices for yourself, book yourself a nice little afternoon tea and you'll get to marvel in its lovely new splendour.
Now, this next location is arguably the crown of Belfast's Titanic experiences here, and this building behind me here is called Titanic Belfast, and it's sort of like a visitor/events venue solely dedicated to retelling the story of the Titanic from her conception right up until present day. It boasts 9 interactive self-guided galleries and sort of like a ride of sorts. I don't know how to describe it. You'll have to come and visit for yourself. It's definitely worth a visit here on your next Titanic trip.
It was opened in 2012, 100 years after the sinking, and since then its popularity has skyrocketed, winning a total so far of 15 awards, including in 2016 when it was crowned the world's leading tourist attraction, seeing off competition from the likes of the Las Vegas Strip and Machu Picchu. It has recently undergone a refurbishment with 3 exciting new galleries. I've covered the attraction in depth in a recent video on my channel, so have a watch for further information. Time for a quick break now as we look at a few non-Titanic related things I think are worth seeing here in Belfast. The Albert Memorial Clock located in Queen Square is one of Belfast's best known landmarks. Completed in 1869, it is dedicated to Queen Victoria's Prince Consort Albert. Now if you stand there long enough you may notice something a little odd. The tower is actually leaning to one side by 4 feet. What's even odder is the rumour as to what caused the lean. Because of the tower's close proximity to the docks, the tower was once infamous for being frequented by ladies of a certain nocturnal occupation, shall we say, enticing sailors from docking ships. Now it is said that as they waited for customers, they would lean up against the walls of the tower, hence causing it to lean. Now if that's true, it does make one wonder. These ladies must have been rather hefty in nature if they can cause a clock tower to lean. Just imagine the state they left their poor customers in. It doesn't really bear thinking about. Anyway, the more logical answer to the lean is that it's built over an underground river just a few metres away, and subsidence over the years has caused the tower to lean. Another favourite place of mine is St George's Market on May Street. There has been a market on this site since at least 1890, with the current market opening in 1896. It is the largest surviving indoor Victorian market in Belfast. The market is open Friday, Saturday and Sunday and hosts over 300 local vendors selling a wide range of local food and crafts. It's a great place to sample some local cuisine. I often pop in there for breakfast at least once whilst I'm in Belfast. Anyway, let's get back to it.
After you're done with your visit to Titanic Belfast, take a 15-minute walk along the Marine Mile and you'll find our next location. This is the Thompson Dry Dock and Pump House, and you can't miss it because it is essentially a giant Titanic-shaped hole in the ground. This is where the Titanic would have come during her fitting out process. She would have been brought through the gate here, this dock would have been full of water, she would have rested on these blocks here, the water drained, and the workers could then have access to paint her hull and fit her propellers. Now the dock was opened in 1911 purely for the Olympic class liners, and when full the dock would hold 21 million gallons of water. In Irish measurements however, that's around 168 million pints of Guinness.
Now years ago one could descend the stairway into the depths of the dry dock and take a look about by oneself. However, sadly access is now restricted. The pump house was, much to my confusion, taken over and converted into a whisky distillery. The connection between whisky and Titanic must be lost on me because I find it rather annoying. You can still go down into the dock, but you must now be taken by a whisky tour guide. They wouldn't let me go down there alone because of liability or something. I mean, I suppose it's okay if I first knock a few back in the distillery and then stumble my way down there, but as long as I'm with a tour guide, that's okay. No liability there. You can just do the dry dock guided tour, but annoyingly again, it has to be guided, which I think sucks. But it's still worth doing if you've not been down there before.
Now directly next to Titanic Belfast is our next significant location on this tour. This little vessel behind me here is the SS Nomadic, the last remaining White Star Line and tender to Titanic, servicing her on her maiden voyage in Cherbourg in France. Visitors can now step aboard this fully restored vessel and take a look around. What's even more great is that your ticket to Titanic Belfast also includes admission to Nomadic, so there really is no reason not to step aboard for yourself.
Of all the Titanic sites here in Belfast, the Nomadic is one of my absolute favourites because it is one of only a few places in the entire world that can transport you back to Titanic's era and give you a sense of what it must have been like at the time. Now, I have a whole episode on the Nomadic on my channel which explores her history and the restoration of this amazing little vessel, so give it a watch if you want to learn more. Now, before we wrap things up, I just want to say that there are many locations in Belfast that have a link to the Titanic. Literally too many to mention. Some of them you don't really have access to and are not really considered a Titanic location, but I feel are maybe worth a quick mention. One such location is on Windsor Avenue. This building here is the former home of Thomas Andrews, the chief designer of the Holland Wolff shipyard, and is credited for designing the Titanic. Now, as of 2023, it's currently the home of Action Cancer, so it's not really appropriate for Titanic buffs like myself to wander in wanting a look around. It's worth having a quick drive-by if you've got the spare time, but you won't really see much.
So I have decided to end our little Titanic tour of Belfast back here at City Hall, and I am in the Titanic Memorial Garden, a fitting place for us to close off today's video. It was opened 100 years to the day after the sinking, and it's one of my favourite memorials. And I don't mean that in like a morbid way, like I hang out at memorials. What I mean is that it's one of only few places around the world that lists all the victims of the disaster alphabetically. It's not separated by class or your role on the ship. And it's a fitting reminder to us all that it doesn't really matter where you come from, your wealth, your social status in life. In the end, we're all the same.
So I hope you found this tour helpful and informative. Remember, there are many more places in the city that have a link to the Titanic, but I simply couldn't fit them all in this one video. This is what I believe are the essential Titanic things you need to see when you visit Belfast. Hopefully now you have all the information you need to make your next trip here as fulfilling as possible. If you have any questions about Belfast and Titanic, then please do comment below and I'll endeavour to answer the best I can. If you've enjoyed this video, check out my other Titanic related content and don't forget to subscribe for future content. So thanks for watching and I'll see you again real soon.